So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Chris, for having me here today. My name is Nadiem. I'm from Germany, in Munich, and I've spent my entire career in the field of data strategy. So my focus always has been to discuss with executives and senior data people how target operating models should look like, how you set up operational systems in data, how your team should be structured, all that stuff. And during my career, I had one massive challenge. After a couple of years of provided with budget to set this all up, data analytics teams, executives came back to me and said, Nadiem, when can I get my money back? So you got budget year over year. Now you've invested. We hired people. We have a lot of stuff up and running, infrastructure, technology. So when can we expect our returns? And this forced me, or this stressed me so much, or frustrated me so much that I don't have a proper answer to that. So we founded Mindfuel, the very first company focusing purely on data impact management. And in the next 20 minutes, I would like to guide you a little bit through the topic of data impact management and showing you why it's important to have value first and not AI first. So to do so, I would like to play a little game because it's early in the morning. So everyone, please stand up. And the game is very, very, very simple. The game goes as follows. You keep standing or you sit down. So the first topic is, keep standing if your company has started something with AI. Okay, good quote. So keep standing if your company has successfully implemented a first AI solution. Otherwise, please sit down. Okay, good. Some faces are like, oh, I don't know, not 100% sure. So, but yeah, they find success. Okay, this is perfect transition. Keep standing if your company has adopted AI and deliver business impact. If you would stay so. Otherwise, please sit down. So Chris Tapp is sitting down. There might be a sign here. So thank you for your honesty, Chris. So perfect. I think if you look into the room, this is exactly what PwC in their latest study in 2025 with interviewing CEOs all over the world, about 30% should remain standing in the room. So maybe we have actually a very good portion here in the room, so thank you very much. Everyone could sit down, and I think this is exactly the representation of where the market stands at the moment. And I think we can all agree data and AI has the potential to save time and create value. And I think we also can agree together that it will become the biggest driver for profitability. I mean, we are now into an age where I think when you're sitting like in the afternoon or in the evening, chatting over AI, we can all agree it is a massive profitability driver, and that's why there's no one large enterprise at the moment who's either building an AI strategy at the moment or desperately looking for one. So the whole topic of data strategy, AI strategy is completely renovating at the moment. And in this study, which I was just showing to you, they've interviewed or they've asked 4,700 CEOs. So the study is from January 2025, so it's super recent. And they asked, how do you think about AI? What's important for you when it comes to AI? And the number which was interesting to me is that 70% don't feel enabled to quantify the business impact. The second number, which I was really looking at, 99% of these people are absolutely convinced to invest into AI. So they all have conviction. They all want to address it. Everyone is increasing their spendings into the topic, but 70% don't feel enabled to quantify the return on investment and the impact. And I think this is exactly where we as data people and as data leaders have to jump in, because what happened to me, where senior executives come around and say, okay, what have you done with the money? So I think this is exactly the challenge. So what if data leaders suddenly would be asked to explain their business impact? And I think the spoiler alert of this talk is they are asked already today. So the challenge of data leaders in general is we are just as good as our core business function. So in classical organizations, I have to phrase that, data teams are typically support functions, right? We're just providing to our customers, which are the core business lines, our added services. And if you want to ask me, how good are you, whatever good means, I have to go back to the business and say, how much money have you made with my help, with my solution? So as a support function, this is our challenge. And I think today, data leaders are hindered to illustrate this business impact. And there are different reasons for that. So to make it very simple, I think we do generate business impact. Otherwise, the conviction would not be there, the money would not be there, the budget would not be there, but it's very difficult for us to illustrate that. And the three main reasons we've seen are reason number one. We invest heavily into data infrastructure and technology. I mean, we just heard about that in compliance and cataloging and technical lineages and like whatever. But when it comes to our own management environment of data departments, we have everything fragmented. So we have our use cases in an Excel spreadsheet. We have the use case definitions in PowerPoint. We have requirement documents somewhere in Jira. Then we have lineages in Miro. So we are fragmenting all the management information in different toolings. And this makes it very difficult to report. So my best example is always imagine your HR department would still run on Excel spreadsheets. So all the applications go into Excel, all the application information goes onto SharePoint, and you're trying to link this in the Excel spreadsheet. This is exactly what happens in data teams. So when it comes to our own work environment, we are super fragmented. Number two, we have business demands from the different lines of businesses, and we have our technical assets or our data products. So data products, the term, who knows about data products? Hands up. Okay, good, thank you very much. So we develop our data product or data as a product or whatever you want to call it, and typically the business comes with a new requirement and we start developing a new solution. There is no consideration of reusability of assets, lifecycle management, everything we do in product management so naturally that we think about how can we reuse specific assets. We typically isolate this request and we build just new things and we build and we build and we build instead of reusing or establishing the transparency between the demands and the assets we already have in the portfolio. And number three, the most important thing at the moment, I've been to a conference, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago in the UK, the CDAO summit, and every single person told me, yeah, we're working on a value management framework at the moment. We try to develop value trees. We're trying to identify how value can be defined in data and analytics teams. So I talked to a person, his role, Chief Data Value Manager. So he's responsible for value management at a big media corporation. He's hired 7 months ago, and his job is to develop a global value framework for his organization because they really want to find out and justify what is the business impact from all their investments they're doing into data, because the senior executives said, okay, you can invest into AI, we're going to do this, but we're not just spending money for like POCs or whatever you want to run there. So we really want to understand what the business impact is. So all of these 3 points together result in what we call invisible data impact. So data impact is there, but it's unclear and it's invisible to illustrate. So for us as data leaders, I think it is super important now to professionalize our workshops, to professionalize our own environments, what we call the management environment, to make sure that we are getting ourselves into the position to explain what we do. So we have to make sure that for the long-term success, we focus on value, because maybe not today, maybe not in 6 months, but in 12, 18, latest in 24 months, somebody will come around and ask, what was your value contribution? What have you done with the money? What is the business impact you're generating? How many more cars have we sold? How many more customers have we won? How many more costs have we reduced? All of these questions will come up. And it's not only about the pure numbers of customers we have won. This is simple. You can do a count on the table. You have to explain what business impact these customers will bring. And this is not only the job of the line of business. It is the collaboration together with you in the data team. Because if I'm building a churn model forecast, then I have to explain not only how many customers will or have churned in the past and doing some BI stuff, but I have to explain what the impact of my AI might be to avoid the churn and what this will mean in dollars. And if we should invest into these retention methodologies. So this is our job as a data department, and not just providing a pure dashboard. This would be the output, not the outcome. and our job is to generate outcome. So, a last number from the study, 62% of employees said that they expect Gen AI to increase their efficiency at work over the next 12 months. So I think this underlines it once more. We as data teams will not only be the ones to drive this change, but we will be the ones demonstrating this impact. And I've met data leaders in the last 12 months who fully understood this mantra, and they're investing all on their focus not only in building the next technology environment or building the next infrastructure environment or discussing how large language models and which type of models can help us to drive efficiency in the organization. They think about how can we structure our strategic direction of the organization. You can call it whatever you want, value streams, strategic goals, whatever you think about. Which use cases do we have to investigate for that? And how can existing data assets and technologies help us to unlock this business value? And for this, I brought a 3-step guide which should empower data leaders to demonstrate business impact and in a simple way explaining how you get to what we call value management. Value management is a new discipline. I just mentioned it. The guy from the media company has this role. This role arises now all over the world. And step number 1 is you have to get your management environment set up. So just as the example I explained before, if you have everything fragmented in different technologies, how should you be able to report something? If a use case is described in PowerPoint, like in my career, it was the fact that I shipped a PowerPoint one-pager to the business, and then I asked them to fill it. Nobody filled it. I got 3 bullets back. Then they said, this is the requirement. Typically what they did in the second step is they said, I need a dashboard. So, and my job was then, okay, understood, the solution could be a dashboard, but what is your problem? So can you explain your problem to me? If you can tell me your problem, the dashboard might be the best solution, but let's discuss the problem first and then discuss how the solution design could look like. And if you do this all in Excel spreadsheets, in Miro, in Trello, and all of that stuff, you will be messed up in reporting this to a senior executive. So imagine your CFO or even CEO bringing 5 different Excel spreadsheets together to explain what the business impact is. So this is number 1. Number 2, every one of you hopefully have heard about the topic of data lineages. So data lineages on a technical layer, super nice. We see where data is coming from, where it's fed to. You have to extend these data lineages by what we call business lineages. I will explain in a second what a business lineage is, but you have to build business lineages on top of your data lineage. You have to connect these 2 worlds. To come to the third point, and the third step, establishing value management as a core discipline. So you cannot not do value management today. It is key to establish it now to be able to report in 12 or 24 months. If you're missing this train, in 12 months, if CEO comes around or CFO comes around saying what is the business impact, you have to establish the foundation of that. And these 3 steps help you to establish that. Let's delve into each step quickly. Step number 1, streamline your management environment. I start with the simplest picture, the infrastructure. We all are aware of the infrastructure. Everyone has one, or you're building one, or you're renovating it, or you're implementing a new one. So state-of-the-art infrastructure, all the logos here on the slide, you know at least one of them, or all of them, or whatever. So hopefully you know them because some of them are here today. So you will meet them definitely. So on top of this infrastructure layer, you typically have your management environment. And this is how the management environment looks like. You have different tools for different purposes, requirement engineering, management. So you do your staffing of your data team in Excel. You do your budgeting in Excel. You have your use case Excel spreadsheet, right? The use case catalog or library. You remember all the use cases are on the list, and then you have 80 columns. Column number 1 is the business impact, the feasibility, which data goes in there. So this massive Excel spreadsheet, full chaos from my point of view. Like especially when I have now distributed domains in a data mesh concept, then every domain has its own Excel spreadsheet. So I have n number of Excel spreadsheets in this case. So step number 1 is we have to bring this all together in a single source of truth. This is the most important foundation you can build. You have to bring all of this together in one source. I have solutions for that, how you could do that. I have recommendations how you could do that, but it depends on you how you do it. Just do it. You have to bring this all together. Because building this foundation, being able to inform your stakeholders, regardless if it's the executive layer or your management teams, your business partners, your customers, you have to be able to explain to them why you have prioritized use case A over use case C. Because budget is limited. Even if you are, maybe you're even a profit center as a data team, then it gets really tricky because your customer then really pay for your services. I mean, today, most of the data teams are cost centers still, but also in the conferences, everyone on stage said, we have to transform from a cost center into a profit center. Because this is what our executive layer expects from us. We cannot just spend money anymore. So for this, you have to make sure that everything is consolidated in one single source of truth. Step number one, sounds simple. It is, you just have to do it. Step number two, focus on business lineages instead of data lineages. I know data lineages are amazing. I love them. I used to do this in my career for a very long time. But on top of the infrastructure layer, you typically have what we call the use case portfolio. I was explaining this with the Access spreadsheet. And if you are lucky, and if you've done a good job as a data leader, your use cases are typically connected to your business goals or strategic goals or whatever, value streams. You can rephrase the goal term as you want. But you not just purely consolidate or collect any kind of use cases from the lines of business, but you have your goals. One goal could be reduce costs, increase revenue, whatever. This could be a value goal, a value stream. So you're collecting the use cases and you connect the use cases to the goals, because this helps you to prioritize and select the right ones. Now, on top of the infrastructure, in between your use case layer, a lot of organizations are building now asset portfolios, marketplaces, data product collections, data product portfolios. So all of these assets are available. So the asset portfolio represents the assets you've already developed in your organization for reusability. Consumer-aligned, source-aligned assets. You've heard these terms from different concepts and best practices. Now your job is, as a successful data leader, to connect these two portfolios. Make sure that you can illustrate which asset goes into which use case, unlocking which goal. If you are able to do that, you have a completely different situation to negotiate your budgets, to discuss with stakeholders, to represent to the CEO what you're doing, because they understand this layer. They understand this layer. They say our goal is reduce costs, increase revenues, improve customer experience, whatever. The 5 columns from the strategic readout, or the 3 fields, or whatever you want to call them. This is what they understand. They necessarily don't understand, okay, which catalog management provisioning system do we use in the next 12 months to unlock speed and flexibility. Sounds nice, nobody gets it. You have to build these business lineages on top of the data assets to be able to communicate. So this is the second step. Connect the business and the tech world, extend classical data lineages with business lineages to explore dependencies and identify synergies. I think the beauty of it is, if you're doing that, you see asset A goes into use case B. You see asset C goes also into use case B. But asset C also goes into use case D. So you can illustrate and visualize the reusability of assets. You can see for yourself as a data leader, where do we have to invest, which assets are the most valuable ones, because they are connected all the way up to the strategic goals. If you have built up your business lineage, you are ahead of the curve, because this enables you to unlock completely different conversations. So summary, business lineages represent the foundations of value trees and unlock transparency for value streams according to the business goals. So you might have heard the term of value trees or value streams. This is what data leaders are talking about at the moment, what you will talk about most probably, I think. This is the most important topic from my point of view currently in AI and data strategies. Last step. If you have the business lineages, if you have established them, then it gets tricky because now you have to establish value management as a core discipline. And it is to explain that simply how that goes. Every use case you develop gets a business case. Sounds simple. Again, it is, but you have to do it. And this is typically where the effort is in there as a data team, because it is very tricky to build a business case for every use case. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a full-blown business case. It could be a value report. It could be a lean business case. It could be a value potential assessment. So there are so many different best practices and methodologies to do so. And if you are doing it, you're coming into a complete new position in your business lineage. Because what you can do next is you can distribute the values to the asset portfolio. So value attribution to every single asset. So it is inheriting the business value all the way down to the asset. So imagine this is a data product. Now I see data product A goes into this use case and this use case, and I have a business case on top. So the asset is loading the business value. And this takes you in a conversation where you have financial discussions with executives, business partners saying, you know, in this data asset, in this lineage, data lineage, let's assume revenue data set as a product. This revenue data asset is connected to 7 different use cases, aggregating or accumulating a business value of 70 billion euros. 70 million euros, sorry. Billion would be a little bit too much. 70 million euros. This is the reason why we have to improve quality, data quality. This is why we have to improve SLAs. This is the reason why we have to make sure that the operations of the pipelines are working well. This is the reason why we have to invest of all the infrastructure technologies. So also for infrastructure conversations, if you aggregate, if this is Databricks, or if this is Snowflake, sorry. If this is Snowflake, and Snowflake is connected to 17 different, so in some of my clients, we've built that, and the technology layers are connected to 50, 60, 70 different use cases, aggregating, accumulating the business value potential. We're talking about 100 millions of euros aggregating on this technology platform. Completely different argumentation position for you as a data leader. Telling your CFO now, okay, why do you have to invest X, Y, Z million here? Because this is the value potential connected to it. Puts you in a completely different position. So this is the idea of value management, summarizing it. Every use case needs a business case, and value management empowers data leaders and teams to steer and govern on the impact and on the value potential of it, and not necessarily just on the technical potential of it. 99% of CEOs invest into AI. Keep that number in mind. They are all convicted to do it. Although we have crisis and whatever we have in the macroeconomic situation, everyone is investing into AI. And 2 years from now, when we're coming back here to Zell am See, we're all coming together for skiing again. Maybe I will have another talk and I will tell you, I told you so. That in 2 years from now, you will be asked, what is your business impact? So to summarize it, we have to build a world where we connect the business and the data to drive impact in the organization. I just illustrated this lineage for you once again, from the business goal, over the business case, through the use case, over the asset portfolio, all the way down to the infrastructure layer. If you can build that, and if you follow these 3 steps, you will create something called impact management. And you will be the rising star in your IT or data organization, because leaders will come back to you, executives will come back to you and saying, thank you, you have thought about that, you were mindful around that, and you made sure that you have considered everything it needs to create value for our organization, not just purely for the sake of AI. So this is the reason why we say value first, AI second. With this, I say thank you very much for your attention this morning.